Healing from the inside out. Grow up. Clean up. And I noticed the smiles around that idea of grow up. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. I want to begin with a short affirmation. Nothing is happening to me. Everything is unfolding through me as I awaken to the life that lives as me. Good morning, beloved community. Last week we began this journey, healing from the inside out, with a simple and yet powerful shift. We explored what it means to move from life that is happening to me into an awareness. Wake up. We practiced noticing our reactions, noticing our stories, noticing when we drop below the line into contraction. We discovered something essential, that there is an awareness within us, a presence that can observe without being overwhelmed. That was wake up. But awareness is only the beginning. Once we wake up and begin to see clearly, a deeper question emerges. What is my relationship to what I am experiencing? What is my relationship to what I'm experiencing out there? And this is where we take our next step from it's happening to me to it's happening by me. This responsibility. Let's be honest though, this shift can be a little uncomfortable because it almost sounds like blame. It can sound like, are you saying that I caused this? Are you saying this is my fault somehow? No, that's not what we're saying. This is not about blame, but it is about power. Blame keeps us stuck, but responsibility sets us free. When we say, by me, we are not saying you consciously chose every circumstance. We are saying that your consciousness participates in shaping your experience through our perceptions, through our beliefs, through our emotional patterns, those patterns that we are used to following, or the patterns that we are breaking out of and retelling for ourselves. Meaning making. Making meaning out of what's going on. Below the line, by me gets distorted into shame. Something is wrong with me. I shouldn't feel this way. I have to fix myself. But when we can move above the line, by me becomes curiosity. I like to say compassionate curiosity. Having that self-compassion. What is this that's happening, revealing to me? Revealing in me? What belief am I holding that is active right now? What part of me is asking for healing? Myrtle Fillmore began her healing journey after hearing this statement. I am a child of God, and therefore I do not inherit sickness. Later she described speaking words of life to her body and blessing her body instead of condemning it. And notice this shift here. Myrtle did not begin with shame for what was happening. She did not attack herself, and she did not see herself as somehow broken. The doctors had given her 3 months to live because of tuberculosis. She lived many years after this. She began with a new identity. Not something is wrong with me, but there is something that's whole within me, and I must awaken to it. That's the difference between self-blame and spiritual responsibility. Self-blame says I'm defective. Spiritual maturity says I can participate in my healing by aligning with truth. In the Gospel according to Luke, chapter 6 and verse 41, Jesus asks us, why do you see the speck in your neighbor's eye, but do not notice the log in your own? This is not a condemnation, but it's an invitation. An invitation to turn inward, not in judgment, but in honesty, with that self-compassion. And what do we mean by grow up? I saw those smiles when I introduced the title of the message. In integral spirituality, growing up is not only becoming emotionally mature, it's an ongoing evolution of consciousness. An evolution of consciousness. And it continues. The way we make meaning, the way we see the world, the way we bring inside of us what is out there, the way we relate to people who are different from us, different views, different beliefs, different appearances. Remember how important it is to see the Christ light in everyone we meet? This develops over time and with practice. You can meet someone who's had a genuine spiritual awakening. Someone like Gandhi or the Dalai Lama. Someone with a genuine spiritual awakening. And still they might interpret life from a limited frame of consciousness. I'm sure you can think of examples of spiritual leaders who have been very deep in their prayer practice. Even having this mystical awareness and vision, but they've still fallen back into tribal thinking, us and them, rigid certainty, meaning it's got to be this way, us versus them consciousness, and a need to control or dominate. But healing from the inside out means allowing not only our hearts to open, but allowing our consciousness to expand. It means moving from smaller and more reactive ways of seeing life into a greater wholeness, compassion, a greater complexity, and inclusion. How more inclusive then can we be than oneness? some people see the world primarily through survival, power, conformity, achievement, or individual freedom. But as we grow up, we grow beyond fragmented consciousness and into a deeper awareness of our interconnection, our oneness. This is an awareness that can hold truth and compassion, individuality, and at the same time community, conviction, and humility. Below the line consciousness says only my perspective matters, where above the line consciousness begins to ask what larger truth is trying to emerge. And this is part of our healing. Suffering only intensifies when we see through a limited lens. When there's gunk on the glass of our lantern, filtering and distorting. As our consciousness expands, our capacity for grace expands. Our capacity for understanding expands. Our capacity to love expands. Even as consciousness grows upward, there are still wounded places in us, because we've all been through something. Those wounded places need our attention. And so we move to clean up. Cleaning up is the work of being aware of the patterns we avoid, the emotions that we suppress, the identities we protect. In other words, our shadow. We have to remember our self-compassion, though. The shadow is not something bad. It is simply the parts of us we have not yet brought the light into, that light of awareness and love. Maybe you've heard this saying before. I've heard it said that it was Rumi's. We don't have no proof. We don't know exactly where it came from. Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I'm changing myself. It's a movement from control to transformation. All right, let's make it real here. When someone criticizes you, if you go below the line, after you've heard that criticism, if you're below the line, you defend, you blame, you withdraw, contraction. However, if you can take a deep breath and pause and move above the line, you can ask, why does this affect me so strongly? What belief was touched that caused my reaction? Is there a part of me that feels like it's not enough? Notice, as you probe yourself, your consciousness, with these questions, that the situation doesn't change, but your relationship to the situation, as you bring it inside, is what changes. The healing is happening. When we stop using life and everything that goes on out here to confirm our wounds and start using them to reveal ourself. From awareness to authorship. Last week we became aware of our inner experience. This week we take ownership of it. We move from observer to participant. I give you 3 simple questions as your practice in the coming week. What am I feeling right now? Am I below the line? Am I above the line? What story am I telling about this? What belief might be underneath my reaction? And then the most important question. Am I willing to take responsibility for how I'm showing up? Am I willing to take responsibility for how I'm showing up? Is it a reaction or is it a response? Responsibility does not mean controlling everything. It means owning our inner life. We get to choose. You may not take control of what happens, but you participate in how it's experienced, in how it's interpreted, and then in how it's expressed. And the moment you take responsibility, you reclaim your creative power. Let's do a little thought experiment now. I invite you to take a deep breath. Just relax. It's a lot to take in. And now I want you to bring into mind something that's been happening lately in your life that has been triggering for you. Then gently ask yourself, what is this showing me about myself? What might be ready to be healed? Can I meet that? Not with judgment for myself or other, but with compassion. Next week, we're going to take a final step. We're going to move from by me to through me, as me. From responsibility, choosing our inner experience, to embodiment, bringing it out. From healing to expression, showing up. I invite you to affirm with me these few affirmations. So if you would repeat after me. I take responsibility for my inner life.
I take responsibility for my inner life.
I meet myself with honesty and compassion.
I meet myself with honesty and compassion.
I am willing to grow. I am willing to be transformed.
I am willing to be transformed.
And so it is. Healing deepens when we move from awareness to authorship. From asking, why is this happening, to claiming, what is this revealing in me? Healing from the inside out. Grow up, clean up.